Hello, hello, everyone. This is Matt from drawingtutorialsonline.com. Welcome to another live stream today. And, I got my back of my iPad in the camera, but yeah, I've got my reference on there. So that's staying there. That's staying there, no doubt. How's everybody doing today? So Gotham Koshik, learned a lot from you. Thank you very much for that shout out. If I would love it if you can let me know how the sound is going here on YouTube. That would be awesome. Now I'm going to have to lower my volume. Let's see. Interesting. Okay. Yeah. So give me a little shout out. How's the sound on the live stream? This is weird. I'm not hearing anything on my computer. Hmm. Oh, because it's muted. Okay, 1 second. 1 second. We're gonna get started shortly. It's gonna be a fun class. It's gonna be a fun class. Awesome. Okay, we're golden. We're golden. All right. So thanks for joining. I really appreciate it. I had a lot of fun on the last live stream with that portrait. That was a blast. And yeah, so today we're going to focus on the figure. I've got a couple of good poses, and I had to block parts out of the pose because it's nudity and it's YouTube, and I want this video to run. And and I can't really share the reference with you because yeah. So I have it on the screen. It'll be good. What am I drawing with today? Well, I'll show you in a minute. Let me switch over to my whatchamacallit, my setup here. Let's go here. Okay, so semi-nudity alert. Here we go. Okay, so I was drawing a little bit before the live stream today, and this was my little warm-up sketch, and I'm going to use it throughout the live stream to kind of point out some elements, some teaching elements that I think would be really good. I would like to focus primarily on this pose. We're going to do a little warm-up session, and so what am I drawing with today? Well, I'm just going to use the good old-fashioned Color-Ace pencil. It's my favorite one, and this is extremely different than what I do in a life drawing class situation. In a life drawing class situation, I'll be drawing like much bigger. I'll be drawing on newsprint, and I will not be rendering like this in a life drawing class situation. This is a little bit more drawing from a photograph, and it's cool. I really enjoy drawing like this. Yes. So how big is this figure? I'm probably going to draw about 8.5 inches tall. I don't know if it'll be that exact size, but it'll be close to that. And just so I can kind of give you a little example. Oops, something just fell. Ooh, my very expensive glasses just fell. I got to be careful of that. Just give you like this would be like a life drawing. So it's. I'll put it next to that. So it's much bigger, much bigger. I'm never going to be able to fit this onto the screen. So this is like a 5-minute sketch of the model. And if I take my, my ruler, and God, this is a 13-inch tall figure. And so I really like drawing that big in the classroom because when you draw that big, you draw looser, and you draw faster, and you draw more with your arm and less with your fingers. Today, I'm going to be drawing a little bit more with my fingers. Okay, let me just get those glasses that I dropped on the floor because I don't want to step on them. Okay. All right, so let's get started with this today so I don't bore you to death with you waiting. And I'm going to get this scrap piece of paper, and I'm going to put it right next to this drawing because I want to go over like a couple of techniques before we start the drawing here today. Now, for those of you who don't know me, as I'm taping this scrap piece of paper down, my name's Matt. I am a teacher at the School of Visual Arts. I've been teaching there since 1997. I don't know, what is that, 28 years, something like that. And I also illustrated books for, gosh, so many years. And And that's really what got me my gig at the college teaching there in the illustration department, was that I was, quote unquote, a successful illustrator earning a living illustrating books, specifically book covers. So I did that for so many years, and I just got kind of sick and tired of doing that with deadlines, and then I just started drawingtutorialsonline.com, which is a little online school. If you're interested, I've got links in the show notes right below. Okay, so let's do this. Let me start doing a little warm-up. So the warm-up for me is always going to be the circles. I know in YouTube you always see me do this, but I like repetition. And you see what I'm doing here? I'm not lifting my pencil off of the paper. You can do small ovals. You can do big ovals. I feel that this is the most important thing to do before you start your drawing. Okay, and it's almost kind of like scribbling. Now, you've got to think of this just as like an exercise that gets your mind into the mindset of continuous line and flowiness. And then after I do that, I like to just do the letter C and the opposite letter C in the classroom. These C's would be much taller. And so then I'll do some short ones for maybe like a kneecap or the inside of the knee, and then a long one for the lower leg. So this is just very, very, very useful. The other thing that I like to do is then I'll go back on top of these ovals and I'll start to do form lines, because form lines are really good for you to draw with when you're drawing in the middle of the body to get some three-dimensional form. You see, when we do the oval like this, it's flat. When we incorporate the the form lines, it's really good for 3-dimension. Now, you never want to outline the figure 100%, but Matt, you outlined that. Yeah, I did. It's a warm-up. It's a warm-up. I've been drawing so many portraits and so many landscapes that, the figure, you have to draw the figure all the time. So I'm like, you know what? Let me just kind of warm up a little bit with a drawing before I start to live stream so I don't crash and burn, because you could draw landscapes and you can draw portraits, but the figure is its own beast. Now, what you have to understand with all of this is that I don't want my microphone to fall off here. Let me just tighten this screw. It always comes loose for whatever reason. I don't understand why. Maybe there's like an imaginary little person that comes in my studio at night and unscrews it. Who knows? Okay, so this here, these ovals are basically how I like to draw the figure. So I like to draw the figure with this torso peanut shape. And really what I'm playing a little bit of Moby in the background, and I love this song. I think it's called Flower. I got to be careful that my mic doesn't pick it up, because then, I'll get a scratch for that. Okay, so look, this is an oval. This is an oval. Now, listen, there's 5 million art teachers on YouTube. Everybody's got their own name for this shape. I just like to call it the torso peanut, because it kind of looks like a peanut shape. So this is how I start all of my, that's too absolute. This is how I sometimes start drawing the figure, but it's still a really good way to warm up. So that is our first rib. That's our sternum. That is the bottom of the rib cage, called the costal margin. Then we've got our little navel over here. Then we've got the pubic bone, and then we've got part of the pelvis. Okay, so that is cool, and that still should be a big part of your warm up. Now, you could also do? Let me sharpen this pencil here. It's getting a little too soft. What you can also do as part of your warm-up process, let me just get a little swig of coffee here, 1 second. I just made it, so I don't want it to I don't want it to get cold. Hopefully you didn't hear any sound effects. My son just told me that I slurp when I drink coffee. I'm like, I do not. But I got coffee all over my face now. Okay, so what am I doing? Mini skeletons. You should practice drawing a little oval for the rib cage, a little circle for the pelvis, center line, angle of the shoulders, angle of the hips, one long line for the leg, a little angle for the foot, one long line for the leg, a little angle for the foot, an oval for the head, upper arm, lower arm, and just have that. I'm just going to have that one hanging. That is mucho fun. It's very important for you to like sketch these little skeletons out. And one foot needs to be underneath the head. So yeah, I'm borderline with that. 2 feet or at least 1 foot, unless it's an action pose. Okay. So now I'll do another one. So I'll draw another rib cage, another pelvis. I'll do a little bit more detail on this one. I'll do the little oval for the head, and then I'll do a little line of action, maybe to that foot. Maybe that foot's over there, and this hand would be over there. So just quickly, just a quick yes. Okay. Now, all of the weight is on that foot, but the ball of that foot. So I got to be careful with that. Maybe I can move that foot over a little bit more. Let's do one more. So one more little skeleton. So we can do maybe a semi-reclining pose. Is that on the camera? Yeah. Oh no, it's covered by me over there. Okay, fair enough. I forgot that I had that there. I'm trying to be like a little bit fancy here. Okay, so this is what you could consider doing for your warm up. Okay, the last thing that I think is really, really important is that you're going to do long lines of action. Long lines of action. Okay, this is important as well. Now, when you start to draw along with me, it would be, let me just click on one thing here. It would be really super duper cool if you could not lift your pencil off every split second. I talk about this on every warm-up. It's a very good reminder. I'm going to be teaching a pre-college class starting July 10th. Yeah, I can't see far away with these glasses. And this is going to be the first half an hour of class showing the students not to draw with this chicken scratch. And I'm going to make them draw with continuous line. They're going to hate me for it because when you don't practice this enough, it's painful. Okay, I've been doing it for years, so that's painful. The chicken scratch is painful. Drawing with the continuous line is not. Now, look, when you look at my warm-up drawing over here, you could see that it's a little chicken scratchy because I was my first figure drawing in a while, and I kept lifting my pencil off the page. Like I found myself kind of like going like that, and you don't want to do that. You definitely don't want to do that. Now, if you do it, it's fine, but your goal should be not to do that, okay? Now, how did I start this drawing? One more little scrap piece of paper here. Okay, let me get some tape, and then we'll start the drawing, okay? So if you're going to follow along with me here today, this is how maybe you want to think about starting. So you're going to start maybe at the shoulder. Let's see. I want to make sure this is on camera. 1 second. Yeah. Okay, we're good. I don't know if I like myself there. It's blocking a lot, but I'm going to leave it there because we got a lot of white paper. So, yes, line of action. So you start at the model's shoulder/chest, and your first line should maybe be that. All the way down to at least one of the feet. I'm going to go right there. Okay. So then after you do that line of action, your next step should be that you do the angle of the shoulders, right? And then thirdly, the torso peanut. Is this the only way to draw the figure? No, absolutely not. It's just one way. But it's a fast way, and it's easy if you struggle. So the pose lives on that line, and then you can just put a little oval there. So what am I doing here? I'm doing exactly what I just did on the warm-up. And try to get like a kind of a little gesture at the bottom for like where the 2 feet touch. After you do something fast like this, don't worry about the arms. The arms, we'll do those. They're very distracting. You don't want to fuss with that too much right away. Is now you try to get the center line. and place that navel inside. So that these should be first steps of what you do. And notice I did not draw, everybody likes to start different. But I did not start drawing with the head. I did not start drawing with the chicken scratch. I didn't keep lifting my hand off the paper. I'm not, outlining the jaw. I'm not coming on down and doing a round line for the breast. I'm not constantly lifting my pencil off the paper like this. I get it. I'm exaggerating. I'm not using straight lines. And I'm not putting a hole in the paper for drawing the navel. And this is what you don't want to do. You want to be lighter in the beginning, and you want to be a little bit more flowier. And the way that you do that is you do that line of action. Okay? So I hope I gave you some things to ponder before we get started here. And okay, so I'm going to get another little drink of water. Now, could somebody leave at least a hello in the comments so I can see that this is all working here on my YouTube channel? You don't need to ask a question if you don't want. Just even like a simple hello would be pretty cool. Okay, 1 second. Okie dokie. So let's get rid of all this and we'll get started. Let's get started here. I don't know how long I'm going to draw. I'll just kind of like feel it out. And hopefully we do a good job here today. Okay, cool. Maybe I will leave this over here. Let me just get a software. Make sure that I can see what the heck I'm doing here. Yeah, I'm going to leave that there. Cool. I'll level it out. Awesome. Now, all right. I don't like drawing fitting in the figure. Okay, let's see. Looking at the comments here. Okay. Cool. All right, let's do this. So I've got the photo reference on my iPad right in front of me, and I'm looking slightly to the left. No doubt about it. In a life drawing class, I look to the left too. I'm drawing at my easel, and I'm looking to the left at the model on the modeling stand. You just don't want to have a long swing with your head, either up or down. Like, you want to move your head just a little bit, because a lot of information gets lost in translation for when you move your head that way and then you look at your paper. That distance, you lose a lot of information. So just I know this because I've done a lot of coaching with artists, and I ask them about how they work, and it's funny. Everybody works in their own different way. But one person, let's see, let me get this on the screen here. One person was like, "Oh yeah, I sit on the sofa when I draw, and my laptop's all the way on the coffee table." And I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "No wonder why you're struggling. That's crazy. Don't do that." Okay, so let's do this. I want to get my software, so I want to make sure that I'm on the screen. Okay, procrastinating. Let's just draw. Let's move over. Here is good. Okay, so see what I'm doing here? I'm kind of procrastinating a little bit because I want to make sure that I don't have to redo anything. So this is going to be the model's shoulder. And I'm looking at my monitor. I want to make sure that I've got the figure in the middle here. That would be ideal. So this is the model's right shoulder, the left side of the photo, and I'm going to do my long line of action. So don't press down too hard. And I know that this right about here is the bottom of my piece of paper. Let me just put a piece of tape here for a moment so the camera doesn't stop going in and out of focus. Good. So long line of action to the model's right foot. Now, you see what I'm doing? I'm way, 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 way too timid. So when you're too timid when you first start out, oh God, that's not good. So now I'm gonna go for it. Okay. So that's kind of my line of action is very light. You can probably barely even see it on the screen. So let me get to drawing here. So then I'm repeating exactly what I just did on the warm up. So I'm doing the angle of the shoulders, right? And now I'm gonna get the width of the rib cage. Um, and this is the thinnest part of the torso right over there. So I'm getting the other side of the rib cage. I'm outlining, yeah, I'm outlining it. It's fine. Um, and so this hip comes down, and so I'm going back to this leg. Let's get this letter C for that big quad muscle. The opposite letter C for the inside of the knee, back to the outside of that leg. Okay, so now let me not get stuck. I'm going to come straight down to this foot. And I would say that the toes are like, if I pull a line straight up from the toes, they're equal with that hip, almost equal with that hip. So I'm going to I always like longer legs versus shorter legs. So I'm going to err on the side of having longer legs and not shorter legs. That's just my thing. You don't need to do that. So now I'll come back up and I'll just do a little oval for where I feel the head is, like the letter C, like I just did on those warm-ups. Okay. And so now what I'll do is I'll get a little bit of information inside this model's body. Now notice I didn't even touch the arms yet. Now every teacher on YouTube is going to be like a little bit different. I'm not big on drawing the arms first in a longer drawing like this. I'm about like the easy stuff. I like easy. Easy is the torso. Okay, so I'm going to get this center line. Get the navel. Now, if I'm doing a gesture pose, I'll get the arms in much, much sooner. Now, this navel is pretty low, so we'll go down to the center of the pelvis, and something tells me those legs need to be longer, but let's not judge just yet. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come on in and just start to get some angles. So I'm going to get where I feel maybe that breast is located. I'm going to just do an angle for this model's rib cage, and then it angles in at the bottom of the rib cage, and then we have the obliques, and then we go to that hip. The hip rolls into the pelvis, and and then we have the tensor fasciae latae muscle, and then I'll go back to this leg. Okay, so I'm trying not to do the chicken scratch. So I'll place this leg, which means I think those hips need to kick out a little bit more. Now, when I draw the figure all the time, so I teach 2 figure drawing classes at the School of Visual Arts. One is for foundation drawing students, first year college students, and the other one is for 4th year college students. So when I'm drawing twice a week in the classroom, like I'm doing way more continuous line. So I haven't drawn the figure since, oh God, late April, maybe the first week in May. I don't remember, but yeah, you lose your touch. Because portraits, I'm not using these big flowy lines when I'm drawing portraits. Now, okay, so I'm going to zoom in a little bit because I see that that's a little small on the screen. And I also, yeah, there's a lot I need to do here with this, but that's my start. So it is what it is. That's my start. Okay, so I'm going to, that's going to upset the apple cart if I lower this, but I'm going to leave it for now because maybe I'm going to make those legs a little bit longer. All right, pause moment. I need to get like a little sip of coffee. Okay, cool. Does anybody have any questions? Does anybody have any questions? I'm here to help. I'm here to help. So if you have questions, put them in the chat. Okay, so let's start again. Let's start all over again. And now I need to draw a little bit more in the middle of the body. I'm not really feeling the legs right now. They're not working for me, but I'm going to keep going. Okay, so I'm going to just try to go a little bit faster. So let's go back to this model's breast area. and then a couple of ribs. Look more at the reference than you look at your sheet of paper. Okay, that oblique area comes in, and then we roll into the top of the pelvis at the bottom of the obliques, again, right into the privates, which I get it. It's a little hard to see on my YouTube reference. So I would say the navel is a little bit higher. So what I like to do to build up like a little bit of confidence in my drawing, okay, so this hip is out further, is I like to focus on the torso. I know I've already said that repetition is the mother of skill. So why is that down so low? 1 second. Okay. Hey, Omar, thank you so much. I'm just trying to eliminate something. Oh my God, look at all the chat that was being hidden by an ad. There's an ad, tonal power progress, and it's blocking the chat. Isn't that precious? Okay, sorry about that. So let me just give a shout out to everybody here. So Omar is here. Welcome. We've got Princess, artist Leslie Pierce. We've got Princess, Rob125, Gino Rajai. I probably didn't say that properly. I apologize for that. And then we've got a question. Oh my God, this is awesome. So Rob125, is the line of action a guide? Yes. Think of it as like a windy street that all the houses are on. And that's the guide to placing all the houses in the neighborhood, the windy road. So yes, it is a guide, and it's your roadmap for the pose. Do I draw the line of action every single time? No, I do not. Thank you, Princess. I appreciate that. It's not a constant for me, because what I notice when I'm drawing the model in the classroom, if the model faces me like head on, and the body is like symmetrical, I have a hard time seeing the line of action. So then I don't use the line of action in that situation. Then I go to other techniques. Then I go to the angles, or I'll go to the opposite C's, but not like a long top to bottom line. So I said that I wanted to focus in on the torso, and I'm not doing that. So let me go back, and this shoulder is a little bit higher. I'm going to put a little bit of shape in, and now I'm going to start with a little bit of shape. So there's a shadow. There's two light sources hitting this model. I get the photos from Graphit Studio. I love them. I think they're really good. I've got to get an affiliate link. I say that every freaking live stream, and then I never follow up. But the only thing I don't like about their photo, see what I'm doing? I'm not feeling this pose right now, so I'm going to my crutch, and my crutch is tone and shape and value, and I love that. So I'm going to just put in a little bit of shape. I'll come back to the center line, and this center line is bowed. Now, when you first place the navel, don't go so hard with it, because if it's a wrong placement, then it's hard to erase. So yeah, we've got a curve to the center line. I'm going to still put some tone in. Torso's fairly long, but the legs are longer. Okay. And now I'm going to chisel out this shadow shape on the bottom of the rib cage. And I'm looking at that line that separates the light from the shadow. And I'm looking at the distance from here to here. Okay. Now, this pose definitely feels like the model's going to tip over, because I didn't put that foot in yet. And that foot's going to be the counterbalance. And I really need to get the tilt of this leg. Okay, but I'm not going there yet. I need to build up my confidence, because I'm not really feeling what I've done here. So I'm going to just chill out, get a little tone over here to the left of that line that separates the light from the shadow. I'm looking at this distance from here to here and from here to here. Maybe I can move this over slightly. A little bit more shape. A little bit more shape. Now let's just place the center line near the sternum. and then we come on down and a little center of the breast, and this breast, the bottom of it is not super round. Now look at the distance from the bottom of the breast to the collarbone. I think she is stretching, so that needs to be raised. And there's also a tilt with the center of the breast, so I need to be mindful of that. So yeah, I'm going to raise up the breast a little bit so that center circle is closer to the collarbone. And now we just get, this is more angles, it's not round. Okay, and so that's our lat muscle. So we've got our lat muscle and indent. Navel is lower. And let's round this oblique into the pelvis. Cool. And now I'm going to kick out this model's hip. I'm using angles. It's round over here. And then I'm going to push in. Okay, so that's an angle. Now I push out, that's an angle, and then angle. So I'm going to just suggest where that toe situation is. That's a special technique, toe situation. So it's a little wonky down below, but I'll show you, like, I'll fix it. I'll fix it. Again, I'm going, this torso is my home base. So I've got to get home base likable. I have to like that before I'm gonna, in this style of drawing. Like this is not a 2-minute gesture pose. It's not a 5-minute gesture pose. It's gonna be like an hour-long drawing from a photo. So I use different techniques for that type of drawing. So it's more of shape and measuring and all these different things. Long lines over here, long lines. Now the model's left leg is darker because it's turning under away from the light. So I'm going to just put some shape over there. And that's going to help me to see the proportions. Let me just resharpen this. Okay, let's see here. So I'm going to zoom in just a little bit more, people. At risk of, yeah, maybe that's a little too much, but yeah, it's all good. 1 second. I'm going to move my sheet of paper. Time out, time out. So I am using my Wacom Cintiq screen for my drawing table. It's a very expensive drawing table. I want to just make sure that this is level. Okay, good, good. And I just need a little bit more tape. Bear with me, people. Awesome. Okay. So, yeah, that's better. Okay. So I'm going to continue working on this torso for a moment. Just indulge me for a little while I try to get comfortable here with this drawing. And so lat muscle, I'm pressing down a little bit harder now. And then we have a serratus anterior. And then that curvature, the oblique, it rolls in. That should not be dark when it rolls in. And then this model's hip is angled. And the question is how wide is that hip? And then we've got the lower hip here. It's below the privates. It's a little bit rounder. And then, like I said, it juts in. And so this leg maybe can go to the left ever so slightly. I'm not going to change that just yet. So back here to this torso. And I want to get this little pocket of a cast shadow, because this is an anchor shape right here. How wide is that? It's not as wide as that. I'm just looking. Look more at the photo reference. Don't look at it in the beginning and then just draw out of your imagination the whole time. Like, you've got to keep staring at the photo reference as much as you possibly can tolerate. The more you, because most of, I'm starting to learn as I get older. I do other things outside of art, my own hobbies and stuff, sports and stuff like that. So, yes, your eyes are so valuable, and everything happens with your eyes. So you just need to really use your eyes more, look more. And again, like in when I teach life drawing class in July to the pre-college students, it's going to be so funny in the first like 20 minutes of class. No, like when the model poses, none of the students are going to look at the model. I get it, they're young, it's a life drawing class, and I just my main thing that I'm going to keep repeating to all the students is I'm like, okay, you just need to look up at the model, even for a second. Just look up at the model, look up at the model, look at what you're drawing. It's life drawing, so you need to look more. And so look more at the model. Now I'm going to move the center line over a touch. Now the center line is not so primitive. It goes in, it undulates in and out, in and out. Okay, we're getting there. We're getting there. It's slow. Let me look. What is my favorite thing to draw? It's definitely the figure, followed by portraits, followed by landscapes. I used to, when I painted book covers, it was there. They were young adult book covers, and young adult meaning. Let me get a little scrap piece of paper over here, because one second. I guess young adult is from like 12 to 16, 12 to 17 years old. And what am I doing? What am I doing? I'm looking for a small scrap piece of paper. Time out. I'll just use this. Okay. I'm just trying to get. So when I did those book covers, I had to always paint what the book cover required. So if it was like an 1892 at a train station in Wyoming, and there was a young adult in the book, and so that's what I would have to paint. And so I painted for years what I wasn't always into. And so now what I'm really into is I always love studying like anatomy. So that's one of the reasons why I just really enjoy drawing the figure, because I love this model. A lot I can tell you right now, most of my students probably wouldn't like this model, because when you draw somebody who's cut like this and extremely thin, athletic body, like it's much harder to draw than if you were drawing somebody who's a little bit fuller. So I really love drawing the figure, followed by portraits, followed by landscapes. I just did a Zoom class on my website yesterday for members, and yeah, we did. We tried to do like a little river flowing in 45 minutes, and it was very difficult to do that in 45 minutes. So I'm just going to suggest. I'm going to suggest, and that bar. I don't know if I'm going to even worry about that bar. So deltoid, bicep. Okay, so I do try looking, but it's amazing what I don't see. I do struggle with the values. Yeah, so you must, in my opinion, this is half of a value scale. You must always have the value scale nearby. And you should make make a decision early on in the drawing process. And you should do this. You should say, oh, okay, that's as dark as I'm going to go today, so that's going to be my dark with this pencil. That's going to be my middle tone, and the white of the paper is going to be my light. So if you just get a dark and a middle tone and the white of the paper is your white, you're golden. But more importantly, when you do this, you must shade in a solid way. Shading solidly is the key. Okay. Okay. So let's keep going here. A little bit more coffee. A little bit more coffee. Cool. Okay. I just want to get some more anatomical landmarks over here. So a little shadow shape, underarm, shadow, shadow. Now I'm going to do some stuff inside. So breast angle, look at the distance from the breast to the edge of the body. Maybe I've got the body sticking out to the right too much, but it's all good. I don't need to be so perfect. So serratus anterior, don't go too dark here. Serratus anterior, and then roll in serratus anterior. Okay, I want to put those landmarks in there. A little shadow, and now we've got rib, and then we've got rib, and rib, and rib. So you're just looking, okay, little underplane of the oval, little tone there. I don't need to go too crazy. Now back to this area that's very chiseled. So I'm going to start to go a little bit darker here, and it's the edge of the rib cage. Pretty shadowy over here. You got it, Rob. I went through 4 years of college, and some of the teachers talked about values, and some said tone, some said value. They used all these different words, but until I got my hands on a grayscale, and I used to practice mixing paint with the grayscale, that's when it becomes something that you could practice. And so for you, you just need to get a grayscale. And if you don't have an art supply store nearby, you can just go to a local Home Depot and just steal the paint chips and get like gray, black, and make your own grayscale with the paint chips. And it's fun. But you can order one on Amazon. They're just like a couple dollars, and I think it's money well spent. Now, I need to do a measure line. So the edge of this leg, the back, the gastrocnemius, what is above that? So I'm going to put my pencil on my iPad screen. The underarm is to the right. Oh, no good, no good. Look. Okay, no, I'm wrong. I got this. So in my studio, this is going straight up and down. I don't know if it's going straight up and down on the video camera. I could move this to the left a little bit, but I think it's pretty doggone close. So now I'm going to branch out from the torso and just try to go a little faster here. So that would be that leg. And cruise on down here. I'm going to go right into that toe with a gesture line. Toes. Angle of the side of the foot. I'm cool with that. And now look at the distance in between the feet. So I'm going to get the ball of the foot on the model's right foot. And then it angles up. Okay, good. And then it's the heel area, and then, okay. Not loving it, but I'm going to keep going. Don't get too crazy with perfection. Just draw. Just draw, or else you'll get stuck, and you don't want to get stuck. You just kind of want to keep drawing, keep looking. And don't press down hard. If you press down hard and you make a mistake, well, that kind of sucks. So in the beginning, just light pressure, okay? So this foot down here is all wrong, but I'm not going to get bent out of shape about it. I'm going to keep drawing. So let me just erase out this line of action over here, and I want to... I shouldn't bother with erasing because I can just put tone there and that would be fine. Now what I need to do next is I need to put the kneecap in. Okay, let's see. It's 45 minutes. We've been drawing for 45 minutes. Not bad. Let me just resharpen this. A little bit more coffee. And I'm going to come on down. Sorry for the side effects. Maybe I do slurp. I hope I don't. I make fun of my dad all the time because we won't eat ice cream with him because he slurps. I'm like, Dad, what are you doing? It's so funny. But he's older, so he doesn't really care. You get to a certain age and you're like, whatever, I slurp, tough. Um, okay, but just tone over here. Don't worry about outlining. Well, you can do a drawing approach where first it's tone and then it's line on top of the tone. And that's something that could work for you. There's no one way to draw. It's whatever works for you. Okay, there's many different drawing techniques from many really good teachers here on YouTube, and then forget about it, all the teachers that teach at colleges. So you just have to pick and choose out of what they all teach and do what you like. So now, all right, so I want to hold my pencil up to my photo reference, and the heel is to the right of the hip. So if that's my hip, I need to kick that heel out, doggone it. And where is the toes? I should have done this earlier. So the toes are to the right of the center line of that leg. Okay, so I need to move that foot over if I want to be true to this pose. So I'm not worried. I'm not concerned about adjustments. You just go for it. And let's move this over. Good. Now, let's just use the kneaded eraser because we really didn't press down too hard. Now, do I need to erase that 100%? No, I do not, because I'm going to do this tone. But I'm just doing that for... Oh, I like that so much better. Okay. So, yeah. See, now, I usually don't have to do this, but I always, trip myself up on these live streams because I care too much and I want to do a good job. When I'm drawing in the classroom and there's the model there, if I'm just kind of drawing by myself, like the drawing on the right, it just automatically happens because first of all, I'm not talking constantly and I'm just thinking more about what I'm doing and I'm measuring as I'm going. So when I'm talking on YouTube, excuses, Matt, I got you. I don't measure as much subconsciously because I'm thinking subconsciously. Well, that's an oxymoron. I'm just a little bit more aware of what's coming out of my mouth. And so I'm not really so focused on measurements. And that's not a good thing. So this is that connection line that I like to do there at the bottom. See, I'm working on the foot and the feet are not visible. Thank you so much. So let me zoom out. I apologize for that. Okay. Let's see. Ooh, what an amateur. I didn't get that on camera. What an amateur. Okay, so I'll show you my mistake. Okay, so this is where I originally had the foot and then I erased it and I moved it there. Okay, so it's very rough. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just turn this all into a shape. And I'm going to turn it into a shape. And that shape should help me. Okay, so I'm going to leave that for now. Do I love it? No, it's so stiff. It's so stiff. But let's keep going. Let me not overjudge. So if I am, is this on the camera? Yes. So with the head, here comes UPS. Dogs are going to bark. I'm just, well, there's the bark. Perfect. So I'm going to just do the shadow side of this model's head. And let me move this grayscale. No, not there. That's going to interfere with me. Let me put it right here. Just angles. Ear. Where is that ear in relationship to the shoulder? How long is the neck? I don't have the neck long enough. So chin is here. Just light placement for now for me. Look at the negative space, jawbone. and this trapezius curves down. And I just want to place like a little eye socket. Now lean back, so that head's way too small, way too small. So that's okay. Let's keep going. So let me raise the top of the head. Hair shape is going to be valuable. Okay, forehead, cheekbone, jaw angles into the chin. I need to get the top of the eyebrow. That's a good placement area. And then there's our eye socket there. Cool. That's better. And now let's just get the shadow on the side of the nose. It goes down, lip area. So that's how I would do it quickly in the beginning. That is so far away from my head because I'm trying not to get the back of my head into the camera. So yeah, it's a little stretch for me. Cool. So where are we? Let me work on just a little bit of this arm. I'll show you how I would map it out quickly. So just like a little shadow. Elbows are not really pointy. Now, what's right across from the elbow? It's this rib area. So I don't want to have the elbow as low as the navel. So just be mindful. Look at this negative space over here. Do I need to put the pole in? I don't care about the pole. Look at the negative space. The pole would probably be very helpful for placement. And over here, I'm just not outlining. I'm just drawing with shape. Where is the elbow? So that elbow should be lower. Maybe I made this elbow too low over here, so I'll raise it. This elbow is lower. Good. Okay. And let me just place that and a little bit of tone. Now, I'm going to use the brush. I'm going to use the brush, people. And I'll show you how I speed this process up. So I'm going to use this brush. Just to push the tone into the paper. So we don't have those white specks. And then it's going to make a really beautiful, soft vibe. And it's just a cheap little Bristol brush for a canvas. Nothing expensive, no sable here. Sable would be the wrong brush. You want a stiff canvas style brush. Now I can switch over to this bigger one. Same thing. This is just a really inexpensive, cheap canvas brush. Oh wow. Okay. Yeah, they're easily available here in the States and on Amazon. You can get one for just like a couple of dollars, and but again, you could make one. You could make one by getting paint sample chips. So I'm just pushing this into the paper because I like to also draw with my eraser. And that just takes the edge off of everything. And just that is kind of like our soft, impressionistic pose. Now, listen to me, people. I need to get up off of this chair. And I need to stretch and I need to use the bathroom quickly. And then why am I doing that? Why am I telling you all this too much information? Because I need to reset my eyes. And when you draw, you should never, like I've been sitting down in this chair for an hour. You should never sit down for an hour straight. You should always get up every half an hour minimum. I like to get up every 20 minutes and look at my drawing from far away. And I like to reset my eyes. So when you just stare at the drawing, you kind of get tunnel vision and you lose your perception of how things are. So I'm going to do that right now, people. I'm going to get up. I'll be right back. I'm taking a 1 minute sitting down break. So bear with me. Bear with me. I'm going to switch glasses so I don't trip on my face. Okay. I'll be right back. Okay. You don't realize how stiff you are until you get up and you walk around a little bit. Hold on now. Hold on. Let me take a break from the drawing. Look at the chat. Okay. Raja Hassan, how can I draw feet? Any hint? I do have a recent live stream on my YouTube channel. It was probably like 2 months ago, and it was how to draw hands and feet. So that I would do that. Well, I'll get to the feet in a little bit. I'll get to the feet. I promise you. As a teacher, would you advise using a mirror or flipping it upside down? Um, the mirror thing, I tried that a couple times in the past. I think upside down is much better. It's much more practical because when you look at things upside down, it's right there in front of you. You just turn it upside down and you turn your reference upside down, and that's cool. I do like that. In the past, when I used to paint those little heads for the book covers, I would look at it in the mirror, but it never benefited me. Like upside down for me is 1,000 times better than in the mirror. Yeah, absolutely. So and I also have a very old video on YouTube. I don't know when the heck I did it. It was so long ago, but I painted upside down for a little while in a video. So I that's legit. Yeah, you can do that. No doubt about it. But yeah, check out that video that I did like a couple months ago. It's on YouTube. And I got into details of how to draw the feet in a quick gestural way. Okay, so let's see. Now, look at the differences between these two drawings, this one and this one. So this one here, let me move it a little bit closer, is not blended. And I do like the way that looks. And the one on the left is blended with the brush. I kind of like them both. This is more like what I like to do when I'm drawing in the studio, a longer drawing, because then the beautiful thing with this is I could start to draw with my eraser here, the Mono Zero, and it's a beautiful, beautiful technique, and I love that. This is just more immediate, and that doesn't look bad. But I like these longer drawings. I like drawing with the eraser as well. So now I'm going to start over again, okay? At risk of being redundant. Now let me just get one more piece of tape and tape this thing down. Cool. Okay. Now I'm going to start right here. I'm going to go through this one more time, and you can see now I'm being stylized. I'm pressing down harder on my pencil. And I'm starting to build up the values. Now, yeah, I'm using an outline. I like outlines. Now, you'll get painting teachers, and I agree with them. They say there's no such thing as an outline. It's just a tone next to a tone. And that's cool. I do believe in that. But I like line. And so I give up the idea of tone next to tone versus line, because I just think line is the coolest thing. So I'm trying to incorporate a little bit of now some line work, a little bit of a third darker value. And yeah, okay, a little darker over here. So just keep looking at that photo reference. And let's just get some darker value down. And I'm going to, yeah. Now, when you outline the figure 100%, absolutely, what you do is you stiffen it up. And so I'm kind of risking a stiff vibe here with this particular drawing. But, you know, the beautiful thing with the way that I'm putting down the pencil is that I use the brush. And when you use that brush, it's very easy to erase out. Make sure that cast shadow wraps around the cylinder of the leg. And a little navel, back to the navel. back to the center line and back to the darker aspect of this center line. Yep, coming on up to the sternum. I'm going to go a little darker here. Yes, okay, and darker here. And let's keep going. I'm going to just try to resolve this torso a little bit before I move on, and then we'll move on and work on other sections. So again, this is my home base, and I'm just showing you how I like to work on home base and resolve it and get it to a place that I'm somewhat happy with. Add some form lines, what we talked about in the warm-up. This is the secondary light source, so the dark is kind of a little bit more in the center of the quad. Okay, good. And now we've got this sternum. And I'm going to focus on the edge now. And this breast is lower than the other breast, so center of the breast. And the ins and outs, so out, in, out, in, out, in, to add some complication to that contour. And so there's much more complication here than what I'm doing. So I'm trying to be somewhat not too slow. Let's add a form line over here. And let's come back and get where this shadow shape ends, the line that separates the light from the dark. So again, we're dealing with ribs. A little modeling factors over there. And then I'll come on down to that center line, and then we've got this model's abs. Separation of the abs to the oblique. I don't need to go too crazy with that. Angled shading. And this deltoid. A little bit more tone there. And we've got the inside of that model's collarbone. Look for the collarbone because it's the angle of the shoulders. It angles up, and then this deltoid angles up even more. Wow. Don't draw the deltoid too round because then it's going to look like some action hero kind of shoulder thing. So just use angles. And let's see. Let's go back to this bicep tendon right here. And it's inserting underneath the pectoralis muscle. So we've got to put this little dark here. And then there's a cast shadow. Look at the distance from here to the top of the shoulder. And this goes around the armpit area, a little shadow there. Chisel that out. And don't go too dark with under the breast. Keep it light because it's in the light. And it's not totally round over there. Let's just do the center of the breast and a little bit of tone over here. So once again, I'm just putting a couple of more details in just to reinforce my home base before I move on. Yes, cool. Okay. So now I'm going to go back down to these legs. Let's see. Let's put in a little tone over here and to the legs. So this is the quads right here. I need to put that in. And this is turning under a little bit of shadow shape. And let's go back to this leg. So you can go a little darker with this line on the foreground leg because you want the foreground leg to come in front of the background leg. So in my book, it's okay to go a little darker with the outline there. I think kneecap placement is going to be important. So just suggest right over there. Cool. And our reflected light. And so now let's do some form lines around this foot. So around the foot, around the arch of the foot. This is the arch of the foot. We've got the heel section. So Rajai, Rajai, I hope I'm saying that correctly. So let's talk about the foot here for a second. I'm doing these angles. And where the toes and the ball of the foot, it's not that angled. It's a little bit more level. And the top of the foot should bow like that and maybe curve a little bit right at that ankle area. So now toes. Good. So I'm using angles for the foot. I'm using angles for that foot. And now look at the negative space in between the 2 feet. And now the other lower leg. Look at this distance. Okay. And now I'm going to get the angles. So, oh, that's lower. Ankle. Heel. Look at the distance between the feet. Side of the foot. Angle of the toes. Angle of the big toe, so it doesn't look flat like a fin that you would go scuba diving with. And top of the foot. And now rhythm for the yes. Now I'm outlining that, and that for me is a no-no. But I'm going to kind of make that go away a little bit. So this is not working for me at all. I need to move this over to the left. Gosh darn it. Okay. So I'm moving this foot too. So I'm going to grab that mono 0. Better. Okay. So I that foot needed to be moved over because that foot, if I take my pencil and I look at that heel, it's directly under the neck. Okay. So good. So do those long top to bottom measurements. I still don't love this, but we're fighting through it. Fighting through it today. It's all good. We're drawing, so that's the most important thing. So perfection is going to be the enemy of you drawing. So if you don't love the way that it's coming out, just keep working through it. Try and look more at the photo reference. Don't keep staring at your drawing. Look at the photo reference more. Okay. Now, down over here is where I would like to add like a little bit of tone. So that's going to be my environment. Then I'm going to lose the edge down over there. So no edge or a softer edge is really important. And maybe I want the hard edge to be up top near the model's collarbones. There's a lot that I don't love about this drawing. Now, if I should have measured more in the beginning. So that is equal with, hold on one second. I'm just, okay. So this quad and this should pick up right there. Good, good. I would not outline the light side of the model's left leg. That you want it to have disappear into the environment. We'll see if we have time to do that towards the end. So how long have we been working? We've been working for 1 hour and 10 minutes. I'm going to get a little drink of water here. Just take a little break for a second. Anybody have any questions, just post them in the chat. So I'm going to draw with the eraser momentarily, just for fun, show you some different techniques. But let me just move this over a touch more. I don't want to smudge it. Yeah, okay, cool. So this is not a straight line. It angles out here. Tricep angles in. The deltoid comes down. And then bicep angle out, angle in, and no straight lines here. So S curve at the forearm, C shape at the forearm, and where's that thumb? The thumb is above the deltoid. I'm just going to do a quick like little scribble here for that hand. I don't want to deal with that hand right now. That's getting stuck in the weeds on a live stream. I don't want to go there. So now this other, I'm looking at the negative space. So look at where the bicep is in relationship to the model's breast. and then it comes down into the forearm. Then look at the negative space. Then look at the back of the hand to the knuckle, and then go back to the pole. That needs to be lower. Yes. So I'm just kind of suggesting right now. So let me go back to the head just a little bit. And let's do a little work on the model's head. And I'm going to zoom in just a touch. Where's my remote? There it is. Okay. Let me lower my paper so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, I'm all messed up here with my papers, and I need to level this. Just bear with me, everybody. Where's my ruler? Okay, 1 second. I want to make sure that this is level, because when you're working on a drawing, you don't want it to like be tilted. Okay, so that's 3 and an eighth. Close enough. 3 and 16th. Okay. So head. Let's try. So shape a hair. So it's very important that you get the bottom of the ear to the top of the shoulder. It's pretty high up. The hair is very hard to see because it's in shadow. So if I'm working from this, I'm going to have a second photo that's lighter so I can see all those edges. But for this, it's all good. Just focus on the edge. Where's that chin in relationship to the model's collarbone? It's a little higher up, I think, but I'm going to leave it. I could be wrong. Let's get the part. Hard to see, but let's just fight through it. And hairline. And the side of the head hair shape. Cool. Now we've got the jaw. Where is that jaw? What's right below it? The center of the model's breast is to the left of the jaw. And don't outline the jaw with a heavy line. Just suggest. And SEM muscle going to the collarbone. And a little center shadow of the throat there and the SEM muscle. Okay, I'm just going to suggest this eye socket. So just don't draw the eyes. Draw the eye socket, because the eyes are in the eye socket. And then the bridge of the nose is in shadow. And then we have our line on the side of the nose. It goes down to the bottom of the nose. The dimple above the upper lip. That lip set, upper lip is in shadow. This is so tiny, so I'm just suggesting. Under the lower lip is casting a shadow on the chin. And then under the chin, there's a little shadow. And then what we can do is just, I'm going to be very vague with this because I don't want to get sucked into the weeds of doing how big is this, just to kind of give you like a little bit of context. Well, it's not big at all. So that face is 3/4 of an inch tall, which is tiny. And so I'm not going to get sucked into that on this video. I'm looking more at the whole instead of just trying to draw a perfect portrait. And I'm just going to suggest with a circle where that eye is. And that works for me right now for this. Okay. Forehead is a little bit more in shadow. Good, good, good. And I think the neck could be a little bit more in shadow connected to the face. Love it. Well, I don't know about love it, but that's good for now with this. Okay. So I'm going to use the eraser, this thing, kneaded eraser. So I'm going to pull out a light on the chest. Deltoid. Bicep. Okay, rib. Big light over here. Wow. Rib underneath. Serratus. This is where all the light is. A little bit over here. Let's go. Now, this isn't as light as the chest, but I'm just using artistic license. Okay, that's fine. I'm just going to get a little drink of water here, people. Would I recommend transparent paper for drawing figures or tracing paper? I don't like saying no to students. I say if you like, you could use it a little bit as a training device, but I wouldn't overuse it. There's so many different techniques for drawing the figure, and the most common sense approach one is the angles and the measurements. So angles is a little bit more of that, that bark plate thing. Okay. Measurements is just a very common sense approach to drawing the figure. Hey, what is right below the ear? What is right across from the center of that? Oh, that breast is higher. So I'm more about just going for it and drawing, and that's how you're going to really develop your skill set. And I think you should do short duration gesture poses, and you should so 2-minute poses. That's how you should warm up. You should warm up doing your 2-minute poses, and just don't care how it looks. Just draw the figure from head to toe in 2 minutes, and do like 10 of them, 10 twos. Time yourself and get some pictures and look at the pictures and just draw from those pictures and only give yourself 2 minutes. And then do maybe 2 5s, do a 10, and then do a 40 or a 20 and mix up the times that you draw. And that is how you're going to get better, faster. And you're just looking at the model as much as you can. Tracing paper has its place, if that's what you want to use, but I'm not, like, even in my perspective backgrounds class that I teach at the School of Visual Arts for animators, I say, listen, if you don't get the perspective on this worksheet that I'm providing you to copy for the homework, I want you to draw on top of it. In essence, what I want you to do to get the vibe of drawing the perspective lines is I want you to trace it. And I'm really okay if you trace 1 or 2 of these copy sheets, because it's going to teach you faster. Now, would I want you to do that all the time? No, definitely not. Hope that helped. Okay, so I'm having a hard time pronouncing your name. I wish you can just speak to me. Kaatje. I know I'd say it, and I'd catchy. Is a shadow on the light side lighter than the shadow on the dark side? Yes, I'll show you in a moment. Is that taught on all this stuff? I've got very, very long courses on my website. This is just like a fun thing here on YouTube, but on my website I have courses. So, okay, when you look at the model, the lightest light is on the breast. Okay, right here. The lightest light is on the rib. So the lightest light is on the light side of the rib cage. But wait, Matt, I see light over here on the sternum, and I see light over here too, to the left of the center line. That should technically not be as light as that. Why? Because it's turning around. So I'm erring on the side of keeping my lights light. So I don't want to over render this because it's not like a 20-hour drawing. It's like going to be like a 2-hour drawing. So technically your lightest light is here. And then you have to look at the lightest light and everything else compares to it. So when I look at this thigh, the quads, my God, like this isn't even close to that. So you say, okay, that's my lightest light if we're going to use this grayscale. Now, this leg here is this value. It's not white, even though it's in the light. I hope that makes sense. And why is that? Like, why? Well, I'll show you. It's like that because if this is the model, and this is the light hitting the model, this distance is, say, 5 feet. This distance could be 8 feet, and then down to the feet could be like 10 feet if the light is 2 feet away from the model. So the light hitting the model's feet is not that strong, but the light hitting the model's chest is strong. So it's the distance from the light source to the model. Hope that makes sense. Okay, God, what can I do here? Let me just kind of keep drawing and not overthink it. So I'm going to use a little bit of an outline over here. And when you are shading the model's legs over here, go long. So long shading lines, long. Don't go horizontal on a vertical leg. It gets too choppy when you do that. Now, listen, people, I'm going fast here today. There's a lot of information that I'm not putting in. I'm just trying to give you as much bang for your buck as I can give you here on this YouTube live stream. There's a lot that is not right with this pose, but I'm having fun, and sometimes if it's not perfect, it's all good. Just make sure that you're enjoying the process, and I do enjoy this process a lot. So now the shading that I'm doing is more of like a scribbly line. So I'm wrapping around the oblique. So I would definitely take a break right now and stand up and look at this from far away, because right now my eyes are starting to bug out a little bit because I'm just staring, and you most definitely need to give your eyes a rest. Rest is good. And reset. Rest and reset. Now, I'm also older than you. So if you're young, you could abuse your eyes a little bit more and get away with it. But when you're older, yeah, no, I'm not doing that anymore. Those days are over for me. So I like periodic, often breaks, a little bit more often than not. And I like to stretch. And I teach my students the stretches to do in the classroom so they don't mess up their shoulders and they don't get that weird tech neck thing happening. And at first, like, they laugh at me. They're like, what is this? And then towards the end of the semester, when they're in front of a computer for like 10 hours a day, they're like, oh, can we stretch, Matt? Please, can you show us the stretches again? And I'm like, yeah, let's do it. And so the stretches are just like huge. Oh, this could be a little smoother. Let me work over here a little bit. And we'll go up this dark halftone. And let's put some form lines on the side of the pectoralis. A little stylized there. A little tone over here. These are muscle striations as well as ribs. This always reminds me of like that Michelangelo Sorry, not Michelangelo, Da Vinci drawing, where um, he drew like the striations of all the muscles of the pectoralis, and it's the coolest thing. And that's what's happening on this model, because she's so thin and in shape. Now, a lot of people, like I said earlier in the live stream, do not like to draw a thin model like this. I love it because I love discovering the anatomy and putting the anatomy in. And I like to draw full size models too. Both have their place. But if I had my choice, I would always want to have a model that's more like a performer athlete, versus just like a normal model's body where you can't see all the muscle separation. Um, yeah, so listen, yes, if you sign up to the website for the annual subscription, it will automatically renew. But if you just set a reminder on your phone and on your calendar and you say, I don't want this to renew, and you just email me like a week before or 2 days before, I could just click on a button on my website and stop the renewal. And so it won't renew, even though it says it's going to renew. So I could stop the renewal with just one click of a button. And yeah, you're right. The 2 year does not renew. And that is the cheapest way. It's a little bit more money up front, but it's the cheapest way to really use the website, is a 2 year. Trying not to be too promoty here. Now, what's the difference on my website? That kneecap, I think, might, is that good? I don't know. And YouTube. Well, the simple answer, what's the difference between what I do here on YouTube and what I do on my website? Well, on my website, I actually critique your artwork, and on YouTube, I do not. And on my website, there are structured courses, multiple topics, and on YouTube, there's no structure. It's just a one-off live stream. On my website, I do a live Zoom class. Well, that's not too different than what you're doing here, Matt. It is, because in the second hour of that class, I look at the students' artwork on my website and I make suggestions. And so during the live class, like yesterday, we were drawing a landscape, and the students at the end of the we all work together, and then in the second hour we do Q&A, and I visit with everybody on Zoom, and we're all there together, and then people show me their artwork and I critique it live, and then I say, okay, post it in the critique gallery and I'll critique it some more if they don't understand what I'm talking about. So that's really what you're getting from my website. And listen, there's a gazillion phenomenal teachers here on YouTube, and you can get your full education here on YouTube. But what you don't get on YouTube is feedback. And I'm on YouTube every single night. And it's like what I watch the most. And the hobbies that I'm into outside of drawing, yeah, the teachers post their classes, but if you want feedback on what you're doing, you either sign up to their coaching or you sign up to their website. And I also have the coaching as well. Let me just look at this. Can you make a... Hey, Sparrow does stuff. Can you make a live about one of your art classes? Well, I could do that. Absolutely. I don't know how exciting it would be, but yeah, sure. I could do that. I could show you one or two of the backgrounds that some of my phenomenal students have done, and they're so good. They're so good, and I have folders. Like they make, I've got Google Drive for all the students' artwork, and they have individual folders. So when the semester's over, I see their artwork, and they're so good. Like they get their digital painting skills. That's what I really would like to do on this YouTube thing one day, is some digital painting. I would, for instance, I'd like to take this drawing of the model and paint on top of it digitally. That would be so much fun. Let me just sharpen up this center line. Is that navel lower? I'm not sure. Maybe. Okay. A little darker with this area. Sparrow does stuff. So let me just read this. Like the box figures. Okay, so so you're talking about surface planes and form. It's kind of almost like that torturous Asaro head thing. Um, yes, so that is like surface planes. Absolutely. So surface planes is if I whatchamacallit, piece of tape, Matt, piece of tape. So this is what we were doing earlier. And let me lift that up because it's being blocked by me here. And so this is for this. Oh my God, I got to get up here. My shoulder is like so flippin' stiff. Okay, let me just drink a little bit more, get a little bit more hydrated, and then I'll talk about the box thing in a second. Okay, one more piece of tape so the bottom of this paper doesn't move. This here, what we were working on, this is the line of action. Let me do one thing here, people. Just time out, time out, time out. At risk of screwing everything up. Let me just move that over there. Okay. I'll move it back in a second, get it away from the model. So yes, this is the line of action. This is the torso peanut shape. That's the center line. All of that is flat, right? It's two-dimensional. But if you look at this model, this is right here, the chest that's the model's front plane. Now, you don't see this box here because the light, it's bathed in light. But that technically is the front plane. Now, I could move that over to the left. And then it turns under into the privates. And so this would be the side. Now, if I wanted to, I can say this makes it easier to understand. All of this is the front, but there's different surface planes on the front, underplane, top plane. But that's the front of that model's body. This is the side of the body. So if I go, now that is still the torso peanut shape, but it's a little bit more surface planes. Now, that's not exact, and I understand that. Now, you could also not do the surface planes, and you can think of it not in surface planes, but in cylinders. So now this is the cylinder of that model's leg. This is the cylinder of that model's leg. So you have to see both. You don't need to draw both, but you need to see both. Okay. And now this is more of an oval, that deltoid, but it's not a 100% oval. It's just part of an oval. Now, when people draw the body and they draw the breast, like they think it's all round, but it's not. It's just on this particular model. It's just like a shallow oval. Okay, and yes. So this head, it's two ovals technically, and you can make it go around, go around, go around like that. But it's also boxes. Is that on the camera? No. Okay. Um, so the boxes. I'm doing this quickly, people. It's a little bit more detailed than this, but technically that would be the front of the face and the side of the model's head. So um, what's happening in this particular picture is that the light is not where the light meets the shadow, which is there, is not where the side meets the front because it's not per se form light exactly. And plus we have two light sources, so it's screwing everything up. I hope that helped. Oh my God, I got to get up, people. I got to get up. I just got to stretch a little bit, and then we'll come back and I'll try to finish this thing for you in more of like a loose way. Which one do I like better? Do I like the original one better? I don't know. I don't know. Let's see. That's not even on the camera. God. Okay. Timeout. I like the tilt of the original one, but I think my proportions are better. I think the original one, the head's too big on my warm-up one. I'm digging it. It's cool. Listen, I got to get up and stretch. If you have any questions, just give me like a minute, 2 minutes tops. Because, yeah, my shoulder is screaming at me. I'll be right back. Oops. Sorry about that. That was terrible. All right. Let's see what we got here. Any other questions? All right, pencil. She is pretty tilted when I just look at her thighs and her upper body, not her legs. I just want to do a measurement. 1 second. Okay, so the toes are to the right of, well, let me use more of a straight edge here. Timeout, timeout. I'll use this piece of paper. So our model's toes are to the right of the hip. Okay, so that's good. So our model's toes are to the right of the hip, so that's good. Okay. So Sparrow does stuff. How do I start practicing the peanut shape, and what's the best method for drawing the figure? I wish I can tell you there was one method. There is not one method. What determines the method is the time that you have to draw and your style. So you could have a loose animation approach to drawing the figure where none of the drawings you do are ever over 5 minutes long. So everything is loose, everything is gestural, everything is exaggerated. Or you can be more of the illustration type person where you're like, you know what? 5 minutes, it takes me 5 minutes to sharpen my pencil. Like the drawing takes me like 20 hours. That's different technique for the 20-hour drawing versus the technique for the 5-minute gesture pose. So most of like the technique that you decide to use is dependent upon how much time you have for that particular drawing. What I do when I'm drawing a 2-minute gesture pose is completely different than what I'm doing here today on YouTube. And as far as the torso peanut shape, it's just, remember, the torso peanut shape isn't anything like exciting. It's just two ovals that are stacked on top of one another, right? Just like that. And so am I on the camera? Yes. Okay. So if you think about that, then you say, oh, okay, so I'm not going to outline the two ovals. I'm just going to think about them. And that is a torso right there. So now what you need to do is you need to apply anatomy. So keep the anatomy simple. This part of the torso rolls in. What is that? That's the bottom of the model's rib cage right there. So if you can do that rib cage, and the rib cage has a center, and the rib cage has a first rib, which is the hole in the torso, I guess. So now you've got the rib cage. And if you just did some torsos like that, killer, killer. Now we need the center line. So if this is the bottom of your torso, which is your pubic bone, right above your privates, and this is the bottom of the sternum, the middle of that is the navel. So the navel goes right there. Now, okay, the pelvis is a monster. I'm not going to lie. But you can think about the pelvis as like just a simple bowl shape like that. It doesn't, that's how I would learn it. Okay. So then you can do any pose. So then it's like, let's do a back view. So then it's like, oh, okay, cool. Here's the model's back, and here's their butt. It doesn't look like a back and a butt until we do more details. But that's the torso peanut shape. Now, did I draw two ovals like this? No. I used continuous line, and I crunched in. Here's the hip, here's the butt, here's the back, here's the shoulders. So now let's put some more detail. So this would be the center line for the model's butt. This would be spine. Okay, so now that's like a back view. So if we take it to a little bit more resolved, this could be the model's leg. And that could be their neck. Okay, so does it look like a perfect peanut shape? No, it doesn't, but it's two ovals. Okay, now the rib cage is here. Hope that makes sense. Okay. So that's what you want to practice. And is that the only technique? No, it's just one technique. And I don't really draw the torso peanut shape that much anymore because I used to, like religiously, I did. I still think it's one of the best techniques out there. Um, but it's really, really super good when you're learning. And it's really, really super good when you are drawing a pose from your imagination. That's when it's best to use. For life drawing, I like more opposite C's and continuous line. Okay, let me move me here. 1 second. Cool. And I'm just going to zoom in just a little bit. I'll work on this. I don't know how long I'm going to do this live stream for today. I'll just zoom in a little bit here. Let's add some details. Serratus. Now, don't go too dark over here. Keep it fairly light. It's already a little overdone. I need to focus on more of a complicated edge over here. Oblique. Curve around with some form lines. And a little darker over here. I could use my eraser. I could use the brush again. Maybe I will. 1 second. Awesome. I appreciate that. Sparrow does stuff. So if I wanted to push this into the paper a little bit more, I can do that. Now I've got the light on the side of the abs. Again, I don't draw this way when I'm teaching in the classroom. This is more of a rendering technique. I like drawing this way from photos. I think it's fun. It's very meditative. But it's you don't need to do this like what I'm doing with the brush. You don't need to do this at all. I don't teach this in the classroom. What I do more in the classroom is way more gesture, more form line stuff. This is a little bit more atmospheric, a little bit softer, a little bit more painterly, a little bit more tonal. And this is a drawing that would take hours to complete. I love this, though, and I'll probably work on this throughout the day a little bit and come back to it. And you can go crazy with this. You can be here all day. It depends on what you like and what makes you happy. If you're going to, like, there's like a lot of my students don't want to talk about AI and all that jazz, and AI is a very, very divisive topic. But I could say this about myself and what I do here on YouTube and what I do here on my website, and that is I am teaching drawing for people who want to draw because they like this physical act of drawing. And it's more of like a meditation process, and they want to work with their hands, and maybe they work in front of a computer all day, and maybe they even use AI in their job. But maybe they want to learn how to draw this way because it's very, very meditative. It's very, very old school. It's using your touch. It's using your skill, and nobody can take that away from you. And it's a good thing to do, and it's fun. And so this is the reason why, like, I love teaching traditional art. Don't get me wrong. I when I teach in the classroom, I do like a lot of digital demonstrations because the students can see that on the big screen in the classroom. SVA has phenomenal facilities. So yeah, I do a lot of digital drawing in the classroom, and so that's just for teaching purposes. But for this on YouTube, and why, so my shadow under this model's arm is completely wrong. It's too big. This is, something that you have to enjoy doing, this modeling thing. Is that arm too long? I think it is. Okay, so I'm going to, do I really need to fix this shadow? I do not. Let's just have fun and draw with the eraser. Some form lines with the eraser. Back to this serratus and the rib. Wow, that's catching a ton of light. Well, that's no good. I just added a rib there. No good. Okay. 1, 2. So you got to actually count to keep track of it. And I don't want to go too light here because that's turning into the shadow. I don't like this thick. Let me just thin out that line a little bit. I need more pencil down on the paper over there. I'll go a little lighter right there. Center of the bicep. Above the mouth, above the eyebrow. And I can do like a little center line right over here and use my artistic license. I don't need to copy the values like exactly. I can do whatever I'm into, whatever makes it more fun. So don't be a slave to the photo reference. I mean, I usually am. So, but you don't have to be. You don't have to be. Yeah, the tablet thing, it does take a while to get used to. And what I discovered with the tablet as well as drawing on my Cintiq is once I found a certain brush from an artist that was selling this brush pack, I hated it. And then I found this brush pack, and I only used pretty much one of the brushes from that brush pack, and it's pretty phenomenal. And yeah, one day I'll do some digital stuff. I'm a little afraid to do digital stuff, just because of my computer. My computer's getting like a little bit older now, and so I don't want to do a live stream on YouTube, and then I'm getting the spinning wheel of death on my Mac. So yeah, that's the only reason why I don't do digital drawing. But it would be so much fun to, it's so much easier to teach digitally than it is traditionally, because it's just faster. Okay, let me do a little bit more edge work on the feet. Can you see that? No, you cannot. Okay. So I don't like this area over here. Let me fix this. Form lines. Let's just do a little bit more over here, a little bit more. Turning under into the shadow, side of the abs. Keep looking at the model more than you look at your drawing. Okay, cool. And over here is not as dark. It's not as light as the rib area. This could be toned down just a little bit. So Sparrow does stuff. So what the question is, what was it like to have Vivian Medrano as your student? So that was many, 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 many years ago. I don't remember. But I can say this about Vivian. Vivian was just an extremely driven person with lots of drive, lots of competitiveness, and really nice. And they were definitely a Type A personality. So that's all I will say right now, because it was well over 10 years ago, and I don't want to say too much about Vivian, because I don't want to mischaracterize anything. But I could just repeat what I said. So I remember, I'll tell you a little story about Vivian. So I was teaching first year, and my drawing class used to be on Friday, and it was from 9 to 12. And Vivian had not taken, I didn't have any fourth year classes back then. I just had a first year class. And so Vivian visited me like the last week of school before they graduated. And they were on a mission at the time, and I didn't know. I kind of figured it out. But they came to visit me. They're like, "Can I sit in and draw on your in your class? I want to draw in your class one more time before I graduate." I'm like, "Sure." And so Vivian drew for a while, and then at the end, she was like, do you want to film my sketchbook? Could you film my sketchbook? And I'm like, "Of course, let's do it. When do you want to do it?" She's like, "Now." And I'm like, "Okay." It was the end of class. So that just gives you like an example of how driven Vivian was. Like, she came to visit my class. Yeah, she wanted to draw, but Vivian wanted me to film Vivian's sketchbook. And so Type A personality, knew what they wanted, really, really was immersed in working on their artwork. Totally, totally. So that's my little Vivian story. If I can be honest with you, like when I taught Vivian's foundation drawing class, I have taught thousands of students over the years. It's very hard for me to go back and remember specific details about that. I just remember that was such a fun class, and my daughter was much younger back then, and they were giving me like advice, because I'm like, what about this and what about, and they're like, "Oh, we played soccer in high school. You should make your daughter play soccer. It builds up confidence and all that." And I'm like, "Okay, good to know." So it was fun. It was a lot of fun with Vivian in class. But I'm not gonna lie, like my memory is good, but not that good. I don't remember all the details. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna zoom out so we can kind of look at the whole. Where's my remote? I keep losing my remote control. Hmm. Weird. Maybe that's my cue that I should end this live stream. It's under my brush. Okay. I'm going to lift this up. Okay. So let me put some tone in the background for environment. Now listen, I've been doing the live stream now for 2 hours, so I'm going to be done in momentarily here. I'm going to just work on it a little bit longer. So how can you support the channel? Well, you can definitely give the video a like. You could leave a comment after the video is done. You could maybe suggest some things that you want me to draw for you. You can share the live stream when it's over. If you want to learn more from me in more of like a comprehensive way, you can click on the link below in the video where it says more, and you can click on my website and read about like the membership. You could read, and when you go to my website, you can check out the shop link. I have some links to coaching, and I've got one-time coaching and I've got 4-session coaching. So I offer that if you're really, really, really looking for some one-to-one time with me where I'm going to actually sit down and film a video critiquing your artwork. And then we meet on Zoom and we talk about the critique and I give you homework. That is 4-session coaching. 1-session coaching is where you just sign up, you send me like 10 pieces of your art, and I do a video critique of it, and then we have a follow-up Zoom call. And that's helpful too if you don't have the money for the 4-session coaching. And I've done that with people of all ages. I've done it with people who are putting together a portfolio to get into art school. I've done it with older folks who are retired and they finally have time to follow their dream of getting better with their artwork. So yeah, it's I've got something for everybody. But yeah, that's how you can support the channel. Awesome. Thank you. So I'm just playing right now, really. Just having some fun with it. Now, I like, this is just me, I like to lose the edge of the feet at the bottom. I find like it's very old masterish because if you look at a lot of John Singer Sargent paintings, like the feet are completely lost and the emphasis is really on the portrait chest area. You don't have to do this, but I enjoy it. I think it's kind of fun. There's so much more I can do with this drawing. And really, so what else would I do with a drawing? I would just complicate all of the edges. I would reinforce my measurements. I would draw more anatomy. I would focus on the portrait. I would focus on the hands. I would do a lot of other things. But for 2 hours, I'm happy with it. It's cool. Is it perfect? No. One of the big things that I don't love, and again, let me just do one last measurement. Timeout. Let me use this board. So when I go straight up from the model's heel or straight down from the model's hip, the heel is like 1/4 of an inch to the right. So that messed with me a lot, the model's hip and the heel. I didn't quite get that 100% right. But what is more important is that this foot is underneath the model's neck because the model has weight on both feet. But if I had this foot over here to the right, then it would really feel like the model's tipping over. So could I move this foot? Yeah, I'm sure I could, but is it worth it for me to do that right now? No, absolutely not. Now, I think I got it a little bit better on the other pose. But yeah, I wasn't talking on YouTube. I was just drawing and chilling out. So I've got to get better at drawing and talking, and especially in the beginning, and concentrating a little bit more on my measurements. Now, I've got students who do not care about the measurements at all. They're like, that's not fun to me. Like, that stresses me out where I've got to make everything so perfect. I just like drawing the figure, and I don't care about the likeness. And so to each their own. Everybody has a reason why they do stuff. I'm always going for likeness because I enjoy it, and it's a challenge. All right, so any questions before we call this live stream done? Yeah, that was fun. That was a lot of fun. I hope you enjoyed it. And again, check out some of the links down below. And yeah, I'll give there's a little delay. I'm looking at the chat, and so I'm going to give the chat a second here. But I'm going to call this live stream done. I think it was a lot of fun. to work on this particular drawing. And yeah, it was definitely a lot of fun. And I'm going to work on the drawing a little bit after, and then I'll post it on my community post on my channel. I might fix the legs. I don't know. Kachi, thank you so much. I hope I said your name right. A perspective class. Nobody would show up with a perspective class. That's a consideration. I wouldn't not do it. When is the next live stream? I came in at the end of this one, sadly. Hammy Saris. I'm going to do one on Wednesday of next week. Most definitely. I do my Zoom class for members of drawingtutorialsonline.com on Tuesday. So I like doing the live stream on YouTube on Wednesday. So Wednesday, most likely at 11 a.m. New York time. I kind of was ready to go at 10 a.m. this morning. Okay, I got you, Sparrow. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for your kind hearts. And thank you for everyone for commenting. And make sure you give the video a like, and I will talk to you all soon, okay? Awesome. Take care, everybody. Be good. Get out there and draw today, all right? Awesome.